How's everyone? All right, so today is mainly dedicated towards me filling in like the little voids with things like background imaging, like the sound effects and little characters and stuff like that that I may need for the company services and videos and things like that. So um, that's kind of what the bulk of my day is going to be catered towards. Just trying to go through my archive of things I've purchased over the years and kind of compile those things into like one folder so that I can be a little more I guess effective when it comes down to creating content. So that's what the focus will be for the bulk of today. So yeah, that and just my random combos. So here's an idea. I guess just sitting here thinking about having your own like brand and or starting your own brand. I guess I should say, and the transition from someone who is maybe currently working for a company, whether they consider it reputable or not, um, and the I guess the ease of passage that it kind of coincides with being someone that's trying to start your own. Uh, one of the things that I always say when I'm asked questions about how I feel about like working for a company and working for yourself at the same time. Uh, the flaw in that with me is, and it has nothing to do with the individual. It's just like the flaw of dialect. Well, dialogue, I guess, is a more suitable choice of terminology for. I never see myself as working for someone else, or for another company. I lease my services, right? Um, because the it's all about like it's not a play on words, right? But words have a certain um, like vibration and frequency that it kind of carries. All words do, and those vibrations and frequencies have an effect on your personal view as well as how you feel and your emotions as well. Even if it's for that amount of time, there's still an effect there with the usage of certain words. So word choice is kind of a big deal. It's actually a big deal. You need to be as conscious about the words that you're using at all times. So again, I don't work for anyone other than myself. Now it's okay to work for yourself. That's positive. Um, I lease my services to anyone else that I have any type of business affiliation or whatever with. I lease my services. So if you're saying that you work for, I don't know, let's say let's say Goodyear. Say if you're saying you work for Goodyear, right? Instead of working for them in the sense of the word, you're leasing your services to them more so than anything, because they, once you applied based upon your credentials and well, yeah, your credentials as well as inexperience, which kind of goes within the ramification of credentials as well. But upon them accepting you or hiring you, you perform a service based upon whatever your descriptive title would be within the field. Without your services, a certain amount of production would not take effect, correct? So you're leasing your services to fulfill a certain quota of production. In the event of your absence, there's a certain production that is not accounted for. So if you take time off, or say you just don't show up, not only that, there's a certain degree of time that it takes for them to cold turkey try to find someone else that would actually be willing to come in and kind of fill your void during your absence. Long story short, and in other words, if you're not there, then there is a damper in the flow of productivity. Therefore, you are an extremely important asset to that quota. So don't look at it as if you're just a worker, right? You are leasing your expertise and services to that company while you're there. And then when it's time for them to do their little shift change, you exit, go home, and you go back the next day and you kind of do the same. You lease your services again. That's not to soften up the fact that you're still working with that company, right? It's not to say that, continue to do that because now you have a different mindset or a different approach to what you're actually doing. You're still supposed to be working towards working for yourself. At the end of the day, that's kind of what it should equate to. So, thinking about that topic, in the event that you are leasing your services to another company, brand, what have you, let's just say it's a 12-hour shift, right? So any day that you go to lend them your expertise, you're there for at least 12 hours, or let's say 42 hours a week, right? Would it not be wise to consider how much time you're investing into your own brand, company, whatever you wish to call it? Would that not be something that should be kind of, considered? Because if you can spend 12 hours at any other place, or however many hours you work while you're there, I say work, take into consideration how much time you're putting into your own when you're not there. So the way I look at it, personally, I lease my services to Goodyear, 12 hours a day, well, 42 hours a week, I guess I should say. If I can give them 12 hours of my time, if I can invest 12 hours into them a day, when I'm not there, even if I've already worked 12 hours that day, I should be willing to give myself and my business at least 2 to 3 hours afterwards, right? I don't care what the situation is. I should be willing to do that. And if you're not willing to do that, would it be safe to say that, I said willing now, I didn't say that not if you don't do it every time. I said if you're not willing to do that. Would it be safe to say that perhaps one should consider whether or not they are truly all in with their business? And some would say, well, if you're working for another company, then you're not true. No. Because it depends on what you're utilizing that time that you're investing into the company for. If you're starting up and you have a job that pays you pretty good for your services, and you're utilizing that as a resource to help you propel your brand, I don't see anything wrong with that. So you're building your brand while you're working or leasing your services to another company. And you're getting paid for the services that you are extending to them. Those proceeds can actually be traversed to what you're actually building. And it should be. You're not building your brand, basically from scratch, and then every time you get paid, you're blowing whatever you're making and not putting in anything into your actual brand. That makes literally no sense whatsoever to do that, or to even consider that may be something that you can overlook. Like, it's okay for me to do. No, it's not. It's not really. Well, let me rephrase. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your stuff. You can do whatever you choose to do, whenever you choose to do it, however you choose to do it. You can run your into the ground if you want to. Me personally, though, I am not one to accept that as being something that is okay if I am involved in that, right? So to me, it wouldn't be okay. Again, whatever you do with your stuff is your stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can't, what I'm gonna do about it, it's your brand. All I can do is kind of give my point of view on how I see that. So even though that, like, you're there, let's say that, like, with my stuff is already pretty much kosher, but yet I'm still partnered in leasing my services to Goodyear. Some people feel like as soon as you get your stuff up and running, you should just cold turkey stop whatever you are currently doing. And, if that is the mindset of those who have their little niche set up the way they want it, and they feel comfortable with that, then by all means, have at it. Me on the other hand, I see what the freak just happened right then. Hold on 1 second, because that is not a go. Get out of here. All right. Yeah. So I personally don't see that as being something that I would technically want to do. Even so, let's put it this way. This is my thought process. Even if I was one to play the lottery, which I am not, I don't really take part in that. But let's say I hit for, I don't know, $500 million or whatever, right? I'll probably be the richest leasing services man in the world. And at some point in time, of course, I would resign, and I'm going to resign fairly soon. But only because I have put a lot into my brand by utilizing me leasing my services, taking what I'm making from that utilization and applying it to that which is a part of my legacy. Because that's what this is all about for me: legacy building. Something in which I can leave behind, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I personally can't, I personally cannot leave that place for my lineage, you know. So when I finally do, um, have kids I can leave something to, I need to be able to leave something to them, you know. And it didn't necessarily mean in the departure of death. It's more so like, just if I am willing to build up a brand and say, boom, I have this thing, Dress Right Dress. There is literally nothing that I have not necessarily figured out, but there's no issues that I did not make an opportunity out of. So the blueprint, in other words, is already set. It just has to be wash, rinse, repeat. That's it. Just do it over. Just do it over. If I'm willing to leave that into the hands of my offspring, then that will be a plus, because I can start another venture and do it again. That's it. Um, it's like I said, legacy building to me is more than um, just saying that you have built something, you know, that will be left in the hands of whoever's fortunate enough after your exit. You know, um, to me, it's something that is a little more eternal. So everything that I do, everything that I'm building, everything I have built, I am making certain that within my absence, it can still be just as functional as if I was still operating within it. Now, as long as I am live, no matter who I leave whatever with, I'm gonna still have some type of attachment to it, making sure that everything is running the way it's supposed to. And after, I would say, 10, 20 years of that, by then they should freaking have it. No problems. Keep it up. Let's keep building. What's next? So Yeah, just wanted, and I mean that's a little tidbit. Um, just wanted to share that though, because it can be thought provoking when certain questions pertaining to work kind of is on the board of conversation. Again, it's to me it's a big difference in someone who reports to work for a company and someone who accepts the responsibility to lease their services to a company. That's more of a business construct, right? Mentally, to kind of help cultivate the mind into thinking in a way that will be productive, as well as give them a more proactive approach towards that in which they're actually building, right? So that it just kind of makes sense to be a little more conscious with the choice of words when it comes down to that. Anything that would take your presence and just make it a number, you have to take your identity back from that, and then you insert it the way that you want to insert it. You don't just accept the fact that you're viewed as, number 9845661 or whatever, within the system. No, you are who you are, right? So you take your identity and you give them what you want it to be mentally. So instead of you being someone who reports to work, no, Blair. I don't report to work. I come here to help, and I lease my services to you to help you continue to build your brand. It's a totally different mindset. So just take things like that into consideration whenever you're just thinking about your life and your position and what your next steps are, what your goals may be. Think about the wording. So word choice is extremely important. Right? It really is. Word choice is extremely important. So just keep that in mind. Right? All right. That's it. I gotta actually complete this here. I have some things I want to do today. Like I actually plan on adding my apparel line to my supplement website as well. So I don't know if I'm gonna have it where it redirects to like another site or something like that. So if that's the case, then I'll create a site for my apparel, and just if they click on it, it redirects them to the actual site where the apparel where would be or whatnot. And I want to change a couple of things, so I'm gonna be busy, which is good. Just want to let you in on my life. Told you I would. This is what it is. It's not just gonna always be about workout videos and things of that nature. It's gonna be about real shit. Things that I actually do. Me. My life and what I'm doing with my life. Yeah. So it is what it is. But nonetheless, I appreciate you for being who you are and for doing what you're doing, because a lot of that brought you here to this video, and that's a positive.